Okay, so this is the agree to disagree session. I pose a question and then you have about 3 seconds to decide whether you agree or disagree. Then you discuss among yourselves why.
Okay, let's give it a try.
The president has the harder job.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, I think I disagree.
Why?
Okay, I disagree in the sense that in as all his roles that he plays, I also play the same role, and at the same time, um, if there is any other thing apart from his roles, there are certain things that I do that he doesn't do.
Okay.
Can I make examples?
No problem.
Example like I play all his roles. Aside that, I play another role as the finance committee chair, which he doesn't play that role.
Yeah. I don't agree to what he's saying totally.
Okay, so
The president's role are very many, but the vice president will only act if only the president says that he should do it. You understand? So the situation where the president decides to do everything by himself, then it means that automatically the work becomes tedious for him. But in our case, since I tend to share things with him, so it's more or less balancing. And his financial role shouldn't be an excuse.
mm,
because because I will not be there and knowing fully well that he has a role to play as a financial head, then I will still add up so much role to him. I don't think it will be very appropriate.
okay.
Well,
The vice president is the real backbone of the team.
No, the real backbone.
okay.
Real. Oh, why would it be real? No, I
Okay,
disagree.
so prove your point.
I disagree in the essence that even though the vice president has a role to play, but it doesn't mean that the rules or the decisions will solely be based around him. So it means that he has an input, but the real backbone will be the joints. In as much as I don't want to center it around the president,
Okay.
but to be the joints.
Vice, what do you say?
Okay, so I feel the real backbone is the vice president because you know that the vice president actually is responsible for all the committees in the administration. In as much as the president is there, he makes sure that all the committees play their various roles very well. At the same time, to make sure that all funds are well distributed among the committees so that monies will not be accumulated anyhow or will not be spent anyhow. So this is the main reason why the vice president is the backbone. Understand?
Okay. The president is the face of the whole, but the vice president is the brains.
The face. When you say the face, what does it mean?
Okay.
No, I want you to be very specific.
When we say Uni Hall,
Uh-huh.
what everybody thinks about
It's president.
Okay.
That is it. And then the brains is the vice president. That's true.
No.
Prove your point.
Clearly agreed.
I disagree.
That is clearly
No.
agreed, you know?
Right. To my understanding,
Okay.
with the face of University Hall, I don't think it's mainly centered around the president, even though the president's name will be mentioned on several occasions. But then the decisions, like the brains behind the what happens in the hall.
Mm.
One, it's from the president. Two, it's from the committee heads
Not like
who are being appointed by the president. You understand?
not only the
So,
president.
even though the vice president has a role to play there by monitoring the people I appoint, that it doesn't make him the brains, the total brains.
Okay.
The real brains in our administration is my committees.
Okay. Okay.
Actually,
Vice.
okay, so the vice president is the brain of the whole administration in the sense that most of the times when we mention administration, it's actually the president. Okay, that we mention the name, but then when we talk about the in-depth work, all the works are mostly fueled by the vice president because he's responsible for all the committees and all that. And you know that being responsible for committees means that you take responsibility of every activities that goes on So if a maybe a welfare committee is about to do something, it is mostly the finance committee, which is basically the vice president's committee, are the ones to make sure that everything they will do is in line with whatever budgets they got or any other thing. So most of the times, all the activities are centered around the finance committee, the vice president, and all that. That is why we are the brains.
Okay, let me add to that. I don't think what he's saying, I totally agree. In the sense that most of the brains he's referring to here is centered around the financial aspect, which I totally agree. But before any program will come up, you should know that without a president, you are no. I mean, there's no vice president in the president, because if my committees decide not to bring anything, then it means that your role
It's void.
is void.
That's why we are saying that you are the face of it.
That face is too light.
The face of it. The face in the sense that you are bringing the people there. Okay, you bring the people there. That is having the face of it. But in the brains behind how the people are, how the people work, how the people are manipulated, and all that. That is the vice president. You understand?
Some brain,
So
not all brain. You have to rephrase that question. Right?
The president is the dreamer, and the vice president is the doer.
But that's true.
That's true.
That's true.
Okay.
100%.
The vice president is better at handling conflicts than the president.
Ew.
Okay.
The vice president is better. Are you better than handling conflict?
I think with this, both of us are better in handling conflicts.
Okay.
This
Not
one,
actually
okay, he will agree and I will disagree. In the sense that, he's very good when it comes to handling of conflict, especially the fact that our blocks are separated. So he's always taking in charge of whatever happens at the next. I don't really know whatever happens there. But here too, I'm the one in charge. So
we'll say both of them. We wouldn't say one is it's like.
Okay. The president and the vice president should swap roles for a week.
Should do what?
swap
roles. Swap roles.
Yeah. So now you become the president and you become the vice president for a week.
Right now, I would choose no.
I think I also disagree.
You know why?
Why?
Right now, he's now into the finance aspect of the hall,
Which is
Yeah.
very
So,
sensitive.
which is very sensitive. I can't afford to go and now start learning about all these stuff and later mess up something. So it's better for him to be in his line.
You understand?
So that I'll also be in my line.
That is it.
Yes.
Because right now, where our finances are right, we don't want to swap anything so that you will now go and learn.
Yes.
We don't want an instance like
Yes,
that. Finance is very
I have my
necessary
plan.
and very sensitive as well.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that was